Hey, welcome to Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. My name is Barbara Polk, and today we're going to be talking about the start of school opening checklist. Now, I want to congratulate all of my new principals. I know this time of year you're sitting behind your desk and you're just kind of taking in the whole scenery and you're thinking about, oh, how am I going to decorate this office that I have? I want to change everything that the previous principal had in here. I want to put my touch here. um, I remember when I was assigned to my first school, I went through the drawers and I went through folders, and guess what I found? I found the contract of the previous principal. That's right. The previous principal, who had less years of service than I had, who had less experience, who had less certification, and she was getting paid more for the same position. So, you know what I did? I went straight to the HR department and I told them, this is not going to work. Not today. No, sir. So during these times, you have people coming into the office and they're really just kind of trying to feel you out. They're asking you questions. Sometimes they'll ask you questions because they just want to see just, what your answer is going to be. And other times, they're really genuinely asking questions. They're going to probably ask you some things uh, that they're going to get you permission to do that they couldn't get anybody else to give them permission because you're a new principal. They're going to be asking all those things. And that is what happens when you are a new principal. You just don't know. This is your summertime. This is the time where you are planning for your school opening. This is the time where the superintendent, assistant superintendent, the administrative team decided you were going to be placed at that school, and they want to see just what it is you're going to do about it. And also for the principals who have been there the second year or the third year, I know you think you got everything all packed down, but let me tell you, there's some things that you need to be making sure are in place. So we're going to go over the start of school opening checklist. And the reason you need to have a checklist, even if this is your third year or your fourth year, you need to make sure that everything is in place because we have so many other things that we have to be concerned about once school does open. So let's get this thing rolling and let's get it open without any problems at the beginning of the school year. So you need to have a checklist so that you can have some type of comprehensive organization. The checklist is going to make you efficient. It's going to help you manage your time. It's going to make sure that you have all of your safety and compliance issues under check. It's also going to make sure that your staff and your students are ready for when school opens. And the most important thing is that it's going to give you peace of mind. Now, this checklist is not the be all and end all. However, it will give you a guide. There may be some things that you just don't need on your particular campus. Or you may find, oh, I never thought about this. Maybe I need to add this to the checklist that Dr. Polk has already given me. So let's get started on the things and the tasks that have to be completed when you get ready to open that campus. Some of these things are going to seem silly and inconsiderate, but I'm telling you, everything is going to be in place. You're building your reputation, or you are changing your reputation if you had a terrible first year. And there's some things that you know that you need to do that you haven't done. Or you've been skating for the past few years and you always say, I always want to get that right, and each year I forget about it. So let's go through it. So the first thing you want to make sure is that your nurse's office is taken care of. And that was something that really just wasn't on my radar, the nurse's office. You need to make sure that the nurse has everything he needs or she needs to be ready, whatever forms, whatever documents, If there's some kind of new law, if there is something that, for example, in middle school, those seventh graders have to have a special immunization shot, and they cannot come into school unless they have that documentation. That needs to be something that's high on your radar, so that maybe you can send out notices about the seventh grade immunization, or maybe if you have an HR department or communication department, you can ask them to send that out, because that's going to be a big issue, and that's going to be a distraction for you and for your assistant principals on the first day of school. The next thing you need to have on your list is to make sure that you have your new teacher mentors assigned and ensure they have the appropriate supplies. Now, for some of you, you may be at the point where you don't have all of your new teachers. And some of you, you may have everybody in place, but make sure that you have assigned your new teacher mentors. In some organizations, the new teacher mentors is already taken over by central administration. And in other schools, it may be something that is assigned to that principal. And you may have to go and ask teachers if they would mind being a teacher mentor. Some of them get extra pay for that. So that's something that you need to be aware of. The next thing is, if you are not in the elementary campus, and maybe elementary campus as well, and that is athletic schedules that you need to be able to share with your faculty and with the students. So if you are an elementary school principal, say you may have a basketball team, or you may have a little drill team, and parents are going to be concerned about that. So you need to get your assistant principal to help you to put that kind of schedule together, so that everybody understands and everybody can plan. Also, with your athletes, if you're at a middle school, you're probably coordinating with that high school athletic director. And the way things are going, you may have a new high school athletic director, and you are going to have to get with him or her to make sure that you have your assigned coaches to come over to your school to help with your athletics. It could be football, it could be basketball. You have some teachers who are coaches in the evening. They may do your volleyball, they maybe you do your tennis, or any kind of athletics that you have. You need to have that schedule. This just goes to show your community that you're concerned about them and you want things to run smoothly and that you're organized. The next thing is something that you just kind of take for granted, and that's your bell schedule. So you say, well, why should I be concerned about the bell schedule? Well, we're in a different school year now. Things happen. You may be moving from a 45-minute period to a 90-minute period. And maybe something happened where your bell schedule just didn't get plugged in by the right people in administration. You need to make sure that is on your list. And you need to make sure, and I know that this seems obvious for you, but your bulletin boards. I mean, the closer you get to the beginning of the school year, you're going to find that there are going to be some teachers who are going to start to come in early, and they are going to start working in their classrooms. But there should be some type of schedule or somebody responsible for the bulletin boards that are completed not only in the classrooms, but throughout the hallways. Sometimes you have your paraprofessionals who are responsible for that. Sometimes you have your department leaders who are responsible for doing those bulletin boards in the hallway, but that needs to be something on your list for you to find out. Make sure your classrooms are prepared. Make sure you don't have, a hole in the wall that's been there since the previous principal, and you turned in, you have to turn in an order, a maintenance order, to get that taken care of. and you do that as soon as possible. You know, when you were sitting there having that interview with your assistant superintendent and your superintendent, and you talked about all kinds of things. You talked about classroom management. You talked about collaboration. You talked about PLCs, but you never talked about how are you going to open this school? Is this school going to be open and everything is going to be in order? These are the things that you need to consider that's just, you know, just not a consideration. What about your discipline management? Now, you know, this is a hot topic, discipline management. So do you have somebody in central administration who is responsible for some type of management plan that the district has been following? Or did somebody go to professional development this summer to go over some type of discipline management plan that they have to bring back to the faculty and you're not aware of that? Don't let that be something that just kind of pops up and you say, oh, yeah, you know, I didn't think about that. You know, teachers are going to be looking at you kind of sideways saying, well, you know, that's priority. You know, the kind of problems we have. You know, we're an urban school. You know, we're a rural school. You know the kind of issues we have. You weren't here in this district last year. You need to go ask somebody so that we can be able to teach. Your customer service, you know, that is the way that your front office people have been trained. When they greet people, when they answer the phone, you need to have something in place. That is your customer service expectations. So when the superintendent calls and he can't get you on the phone, you need to have some kind of communication set in place where he can get in touch with you. That's part of your customer service expectations. Your dress standard implementation plan, you need to have that shared by your faculty. You know, in some communities, they just accept, you know, as long as, you know, your clothes are clean and presentable, it's okay. And in some districts, you do have a dress standard. And you need to make sure that that dress standard is implemented and is shared with your faculty and your staff so that you are working that second week of school and somebody comes to you and they say, did you see Miss So-and-so in room 104? Did you see what she had on today? Well, if you never talked about it, it could be just somebody, you know, who decided they were going to try to push the button, or it could be somebody who just genuinely did not know. But if you have that as a part of your opening checklist, that's something that you are going to discuss with your faculty. Make sure you get all of your faculty and staff. You know, we always talk about, you know, a shortage of teachers, but we also have a shortage of custodians, of full-time custodians. What about them? You know, do you have a main custodian, a head custodian? And looking at their schedules, you know, they have a schedule. They have to operate. They have to make sure everything is done. You need to walk through the building with that head custodian or for that person who is responsible for making sure that building is clean and talk to them, see if there's some kind of issues that you can get resolved that didn't get resolved last year or the year before. And here you are, they're hoping that maybe you can get that done. If you have a district faculty handbook, get with your human resources or your communications people and see when that information is going to be disseminated, or if that is something that's going to be done through new teacher orientation. There could be some new laws or something that have changed that you need to include when you are doing your orientation to make sure that all of those things are taken care of and it just doesn't pop up. You know, the reason you want to have this opening of school checklist is so that when you are, hustling and bustling that first week, that second week, that third week, people are going to be coming at you from all kinds of directions, asking all kinds of questions that you don't have answers to because that wasn't one of the things that you thought was important. And now you didn't have a checklist. So you need to make sure that staff development is shared with all the faculty and staff. Now, that could be a question that you're going to ask central administration. You're going to ask a supervisor. You're going to ask somebody about staff development because you're going to have a calendar yourself, and you are going to manage that calendar with the central administration calendar. And sometimes, they're not on point. And by you asking them this question, then they're going to say, oh, I hadn't thought about that. We're going to get those books out to you, or we're going to send that information to you to make sure that that's taken care of. The first day of school, monitoring the arrival, your routine, you are going to have to be able to share this with your faculty and your staff. This should be something that is not overlooked. I know it's a big thing, and you got so much stuff going on, but you need to have this on your checklist. How are you going to do this? Are you going to try to do this yourself? I'm telling you that that's not a good idea. You're going to have your administrators to help come up with that for you to complete on your checklist. And sometimes you're going to walk into a situation with your administrators, with your assistant principals, if you are in an urban school district, and it could be somebody that's the AP that wanted the job that you have, and they're just not completely 100% cooperative. Or it may be somebody who was newly assigned, and they were assigned before you got there. They're going to have to depend upon your team leaders, your department leaders, to help to come up with the first day of school. First day of school, that is your hot button. You need to have that school opening and running and having everything smoothly. There shouldn't be just loose ends of what are we going to do about this? Who's going to be here? What time should we be there? Have that on your list and meet with your team to determine that. Are your grounds prepared? Sometimes you're so busy driving in the morning and running, into your building. You don't even see the grass. The grass is tall. You got trash around the front of your school. Make sure that the grounds are prepared. Ask those questions. Find out who it is that you need to contact. See what their schedule is so you can be at the top of that list. Nobody wants to walk or bring students to a school that, has graffiti on it, or you have trash all around the building. Make sure that's taken care of. Make sure your lights are working. I'm just talking about just general things that you need to have on your list. If you have any type of special programs like literacy program, numeracy, science, any kind of teacher communication initiative, anything that needs to be shared, make sure you know what that is. And lunch, prepare for the first day. Now, have you even been to the cafeteria to meet the cafeteria supervisor on your campus? Do they know you? You may say, well, yeah, I went in there, and they weren't in there. I don't know who it is. I don't know who she is. I don't know who he is. Well, this is your opportunity to get with the people who are in food service and find out who your person is. You may have a new person. You may be blessed to have somebody who's been there for a couple of years, and they understand how things operate, and they can explain that to you. But have that on your list. You have so many things going through your mind. You have so many questions. You have so many things to do. And this is the time that you have to get prepared for. Your main office and your attendance organized. What are you going to do about attendance? Or do you have somebody who is going to be giving tardy passes? Do you have some type of program where you don't give tardy passes? Does everybody understand the attendance policy that you have to report your attendance? For the teachers to report their attendance. Do the teachers understand how to follow that protocol? Or is that something that has been a blip? Remember, that's how you get paid. So we need to make sure that all of our teachers understand how to do their attendance and how to do that efficiently and effectively. Now, what about your master schedule? I mean, the master schedule ought to be done by now. And if you're having some problems with your master schedule, you need to know right now. You need to know who to talk to about the master schedule. You need to have somebody to go over that master schedule with you so that you are educated about your master schedule. That should be on your list. Don't just assume that that's going to be taken care of. And I'm talking to my new principals, my second year principals, my third year principals. You need to know this. This may be something that, just kind of slid by you, or it could be that, you were a principal and you didn't get assigned until January and everything was already in place and you didn't have anything to do or to say about that master schedule. You didn't reassign teachers for different content areas. You didn't have anything to do with that. Well, now you have time. That should be on your checklist. You may want to meet with some of your department chairs. You may want to meet with your administrative team. They may have information about reassignments, or they may have additional information about the master schedule that you need to be aware of. The next thing in your checklist should be your morning, your afternoon duty, and your bus duty. Don't think that that's just going to automatically get done. It could be that what was working, the past year is not working now. It could be that the person that everybody depended on for years has retired. It could be that there was always a problem with the morning and afternoon duty schedule. You don't have anybody assigned to the bus duty. You may find out after talking to people that the place where you had buses, the bus pickup was not a good place. Now is the time to make that change so that everybody knows about that. And you need to contact your transportation director. You need to know your transportation director. Your transportation director is going to take care of you. Trust me. You need to let them know that you're the new principal, or that you didn't get a chance to meet them last year and you're here now. Or if this is your third year or your fourth year, you may want to say, I just want to holler at you. Or maybe that it's a new transportation director and they're just like you. Or it may be that somebody was promoted, from assistant director to, the director. You just never know. What you're doing, you're establishing some relationships. Because in this school building business, it's all about relationship building. All right. The next thing you need to have on your list is your new student registration. Now, most of your new student registration is already automated. Districts are requiring that if you are a returning student, that you have to complete this returning student information online. But what about the students who are coming to the district? What about the students who are new to the district? And what about the ones who are returning and just didn't do the registration online? You need to have a plan for that. So that means that you need to get in touch with the technology director or the technology person that's assigned to your school. If you're the one and you're in a small school and you have to do this and you just need to call for some help, then that needs to be on your list. All right, so you need to have also on your checklist some kind of pre-planning agenda that is prepared for you to meet with your Department of Instruction. Now, you're going to be meeting with your Department of Instruction, and you're going to have um, sharing of information, and most of the information you're going to be sharing with your Department of Curriculum and Instruction will be things that they just give you to do. You know, we have to have this, and we do this, and we want this done. And let me tell you, as an aside, that's generally just what you can expect from your Department of Instruction and Curriculum. They're not going to ask you; they're going to be telling. And what's going to happen along the line if you are not there to support your teachers, then your teachers are going to say, we can't depend on you. You are going to be there to support your teachers because your supervisors are going to be coming in from your Department of Curriculum and Instruction and requiring all kinds of things of your teachers. There are going to be things that you're going to have planned on the campus that just doesn't fit. But you're going to have to establish some relationships to make sure that you can protect your teachers and at the same time get the Department of Curriculum and Instruction getting all of that information done. Now, this may be something that, you know, you just say is just obvious, but that's why you need a checklist. Check those restrooms and make sure that those restrooms are prepared. Now you say, well, you know, the head custodian, they're gonna take care of that. Don't assume anything. Make sure all of that is taken care of. Now, you may not do it until the week before school or the 2 weeks before school. I don't care how you do it or when you do it, but make sure that's on your list. Sexual harassment, make sure that is going to come from human resources. Make sure that's added to your list because that's something that's going to be discussed with your faculty and staff. Make sure you understand the student code of conduct and make sure how all of that information is delivered to the students. The students will also have some type of virtual handbook and make sure that student schedules. I mean, you say, well, how can they move without a schedule? You need to make sure all of that is taken care of. All right. So some of you are going to be, this is the next thing on your list. Some of you are going to be starting school with substitute teachers. Now, some of you may have a service that takes care of the substitute teachers. You may be the one to call for a substitute teacher, but you need to establish some type of protocol for your substitute teachers on your campus. And if it's an outside vendor that is doing this, make sure that what the vendor is telling the teachers aligns with what you want those substitute teachers to do on your campus. You may be one of the fortunate principals that does not have to worry about having substitutes, but I guarantee you need to have some type of protocol in place because you are going to have substitutes sometime throughout the year. They may not be a permanent substitute. It just may be a substitute for a teacher who is going on a professional development. You need to have something in place You need to establish that with, here is the person who's going to go over what we require as substitutes on this campus. You need to even prepare something saying this is our expectation. Because when we have a substitute teacher that's in, and it's an extra burden on the teachers that are already in the classroom to have to come over and get that teacher and show that teacher what that teacher needs to do. Of course, we're going to have our team leaders who are going to be there to support the substitute teacher, but there should be a protocol. There should be a way so that people just won't be looking at each other crazy trying to figure out who's going to work with this substitute. You have too much liability as well for you not to have a plan when you have substitute teachers in the classroom. Make sure you have your teacher classrooms assigned and everybody knows where that is, who they are. Going back to your master schedule, making sure that those class roles are done, and your teacher supplies. Those teacher supplies should have been ordered before the end of the school year. But put that on your list. Do not assume that the principal ahead of you or somebody in curriculum and instruction or finance ordered those teacher supplies. I mean, do not assume that. That's something, if you have a financial secretary or somebody who handles the distribution of supplies for the teachers, to make sure that that's done. If you are, especially in elementary, making sure that those textbooks are prepared, they're in the building, or if they're not, making sure that they get delivered and distributed, and decide, especially elementary, what are you going to do with those books? So let's say you are in third, fourth, or fifth grade, and the students are moving from class to class for different content. And you say, or you had teachers to tell you, I'm going to give these books to the students because they just lose the books. We can't keep up with the books. They come in the class and I can't, they leave their books on the desk and I have to be I don't have a place to store all these books. So they're going to carry those books in their backpack. Okay. You're going to get some parents to say, this is too much for my child to be carrying on her back or his back. It's just too much. So what are you going to do? And really considering that is a lot, especially for your elementary kids. That's a lot. Come up with a plan. I mean, be organized. Agree on something. But have that in place for secondary as well. Have that in place. Your transportation, make sure that you have all the information for transportation. You know, those bus routes, they're going to be posted online. You need to know, or you need to have somebody on your campus that's responsible for knowing about those bus routes. Now, do you have a vision, a mission, and core values posted? Now, it could be that the former principal decided that this was going to be our vision for our school. This was going to be the mission for our school. This was going to be our core values. But, as you need to have this on your checklist so you can look at your vision. You may be one of those principals who has decided this vision is not working. This vision is just a lot of gobbledygook. It means nothing. So you need to decide, we are going to create a new vision and a mission and core values for our school. That needs to be on your checklist. All right. So what about this thing called classroom management? Of course, you're going to have that on your checklist. But that's something that a lot of the new principals do not put their finger on. They say, well, let the departments decide, how they're going to do that. No, ma'am, no, sir. Somebody within the organization needs to be determining with you what you are going to do as far as classroom management. This is going to make you or break you. This is why they assigned you to that school. You are going to have to stand for something, or you're going to end up falling for anything. And then your school is going to have a reputation that says anything goes over there. Or you will have a reputation that says children are treated fairly, but for those that need special assistance, we have a program in place. We want our teachers to feel safe. We want our students to be in the classroom learning. So how are you going to do that? We understand the students' IEP plans. Everybody needs to understand who is responsible for that child, their IEP plan, and need to work with the teachers and the child to make sure that IEP plan is one that is being followed according to federal law. Now that's going to be a hard thing to do, but you're going to have to do it and make sure that's on your list. If you have pacing charts, if you have guides, make sure that you have those, especially if you may be new to the district, or that was not a responsibility you had when you were in your old school. If you're going to have some type of retreat, put that on your calendar. If you have a leadership manual, make sure you have that manual, and make sure that your administrators on your campus have a copy of that manual. Make sure you also have your meeting dates. Put this on your checklist to get the meeting dates for meetings that principals have. Now, you will get that from central administration. They will tell you, so you have that on your calendar. So when you schedule things throughout the year, you will have those meeting dates that come directly from central administration, so there will not be a conflict. Put that on your checklist. Your new teacher orientation, make sure that's on your list. Your staff development plans, ask again from your curriculum and instruction department. Make sure you have the testing calendar, and make sure that's on your calendar. Make sure that you make yourself known to the finance department, because you will be requesting funds, title funds, and make sure that you have all of your funds distributed. And if they're not, then you need to find out when, or to make sure you go through the training. So these are the things that should be on your checklist. Now, there are some other things that are included on that checklist that have to do with the special ed department. There are some things that have to do with policy changes that are included in the faculty handbook and the student handbook. There are some things that are included that have to do with the laws that apply to safety, and all of that is on the checklist. So what I want you to do, if you would like to have a copy of the checklist, just in the comments section, just put your email address and we'll get that to you. And I want to say hey to Miss Harris. Good morning, Miss Harris. And I'm so pleased to see you. Ms. Harris was one of the best teachers at my middle school. She was always one that was at the top of her game. Any type of innovation that needed to be done, her student scores were always the best, and she excelled at all that she did. So I just want to say thank you, Ms. Harris, for being there for students, students who have done well, students who have given you credit for helping them with their writing, because she is an ELA teacher. So thank you, Ms. Harris, for being there. Another thing is that we want you to share this message with some of your cohorts. And if you're listening on YouTube, we ask you to go on and subscribe. And I've already spoken to Ms. Harris, and we didn't have any other questions. So I just want you to have an excellent school year. And during those times when people are passing by during the summer and they see your car parked there, your car and the custodian's car, and nobody's there, and they're wondering, what the heck is he doing over there? What the heck is she doing over there? We are going through checklists. We're making sure that this school opens, and it opens in a fashion where everything is in order, and there is going to be some excellent instruction going on in those classrooms. So we're going to close today. My name is Barbara Pope, Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. We'll see you next time.